Jiao Maiqi cancelled. The Yu Menglong controversy that set the internet on fire. When a name starts trending at 3:17 a.m., you already know something is wrong. No warning. No context. Just a flood of hashtags. Within minutes, timelines exploded. Screenshots appeared. Old interviews resurfaced. Cryptic posts were dissected frame by frame. And suddenly, Jiao Maiqi was trending worldwide. And so was Yu Menglong. But what actually happened? And why did this situation spiral so fast that fans began whispering one word? Cancelled. The timeline began with a short video clip. 7 seconds. No context. A blurry angle. A cut-off sentence. A facial expression frozen at the wrong moment. Within an hour, that clip had been reposted over 50,000 times. Within 3 hours, hashtags were climbing. Within 6 hours, commentary channels had uploaded reaction videos with titles like, "This changes everything." The truth is darker than you think. What they don't want you to see. But here's the thing about viral storms. They rarely start with facts. They start with emotion. And emotion spreads faster than truth. If you've ever watched a cancellation unfold in real time, you know it follows a pattern. 1. A clip surfaces. 2. Context disappears. 3. Assumptions multiply. 4. Silence becomes guilt. 5. The internet becomes judge and jury. And when 2 recognizable names are involved, the impact doubles. The conversation wasn't just about one moment. It became about history. Old interviews. Past collaborations. Subtle body language. Vague comments from years ago. The internet did what it does best. It connected dots, whether they were meant to connect or not. Both figures carry large, passionate fanbases. A devoted supporters. A protective communities. A deep emotional investment. And when fans feel protective, reactions intensify. The online discourse split into 3 camps. 1. Defenders. You're twisting everything. 2. Critics. This proves what we suspected. 3. Observers. Why does this feel off? The most dangerous ingredient. Speculation disguised as certainty. One of the most psychologically fascinating parts of any controversy is what happens next. Silence. No immediate statement. No clarifying post. No live stream explanation. And the longer silence stretches, the louder the internet becomes. People begin to ask, why haven't they responded? Are lawyers involved? Is there something bigger behind this? But silence doesn't always mean strategy. Sometimes silence means a shock, a confusion, a waiting for facts, a trying not to make things worse. Unfortunately, online culture rarely rewards patience. Controversy fuels clicks. Reaction videos generate views. Speculation generates engagement. Outrage generates revenue. In the first 24 hours, a commentary video spiked. A live stream debate surged. A fan edits went viral. Explainer threads appeared everywhere. The algorithm doesn't ask whether something is verified. It asks, are people watching? And they were. While timelines debate, dissect, and argue, real people exist behind the headlines. Public scrutiny can feel suffocating. Every facial expression becomes evidence. Every past comment becomes ammunition. Every friend becomes a suspect. And for artists who built careers on emotional vulnerability, public doubt can hit especially hard. Is this cancellation? Or is this accountability? The internet often blurs the line. Cancellation usually implies a career consequences, a brand withdrawals, a social distancing, a reputation damage. But sometimes, what trends as cancelled is simply a wave of outrage that fades in days. The problem? The emotional damage often lasts longer than the hashtag. Fans are powerful. They can trend support campaigns. They can flood comments with defense. They can analyze footage like investigators. But fandom can also create echo chambers. When people only hear reinforcement, polarization deepens. And once polarization starts, nuance disappears. By sunrise, something unusual had happened. Search volume exploded. Fan forums were moving faster than news outlets. Comment sections were locked. Old clips were being reposted with new captions. Micro-expressions were being zoomed in, slowed down, reinterpreted. But here's what made it darker. The narrative wasn't forming from verified statements. It was forming from collective imagination. And collective imagination can be more powerful than facts. 3 types of screenshots began circulating. 1. Old social media interactions. 2. Cropped conversation fragments. 3. Anonymous insider messages. None were officially verified. All were shared as if they were undeniable proof. And once something is screenshot, it feels permanent. Permanent feels real. Real feels confirmed. Confirmed feels dangerous. The comments began shifting from, "What's going on?" to, "I always suspected something." That's the psychological turning point. When people rewrite the past to match the present. One of the darkest aspects of viral controversy is how quickly platforms split into tribes. On one side, a defensive fans, a loyalty campaigns, a support hashtags. On the other, a critical threads, a compiled evidence, a emotional reactions framed as facts. The middle ground, almost non-existent. Nuance doesn't trend. Outrage does. And once the conversation polarizes, something subtle but powerful happens. People stop looking for truth. They start looking for confirmation. Hours turned into a full day. Still no detailed public clarification. And that's when speculation hit its peak. Because in digital culture, silence is rarely interpreted as caution. It's interpreted as strategy, or guilt, or negotiation behind closed doors. But the truth is often less cinematic. When a controversy explodes, a legal teams assess, our agencies coordinate, a PR teams calculate wording, our emotions run high. Immediate response can make things worse. Yet waiting too long creates its own storm. It's a no-win situation. When commentary channels picked up the case, the tone shifted. Thumbnails darkened. Titles intensified. Background music became ominous. Words like, exposed, unmasked, the real truth, what they're hiding, began dominating feeds. And once mainstream entertainment outlets started reporting on online reactions, something changed. The rumor wasn't just rumor anymore. It became a developing situation. That phrasing alone gives speculation legitimacy. While timelines debated, something else was happening quietly. Family members were reading comments. Friends were getting messages. Colleagues were being asked for statements. The psychological impact of watching your name trend for the wrong reasons is something most people will never experience. Imagine refreshing your phone and seeing thousands of strangers debating your character. Imagine seeing old photos repurposed as evidence. Imagine not being able to correct every false claim because responding to one amplifies 10 more. That's the part we rarely talk about. This situation didn't feel like a typical misunderstanding. It felt layered. Our old tension resurfacing. A hidden dynamics being speculated. Our online detectives digging deep. But here's the uncomfortable truth. When enough people speculate loudly, even unverified ideas start to feel real. And once reputational doubt exists, it's hard to fully erase. There's something unofficial but very real in digital culture. A clock. It starts ticking the moment someone trends for controversy. Within 24 hours. Brands monitor sentiment. Within 48 hours. Sponsors evaluate risk. Within 72 hours. Public perception solidifies. Not because all facts are known, but because attention spans are short. The narrative locks in early. And undoing a first impression online is almost impossible. Instead of asking, who is guilty? Maybe the more important question is, why are we so quick to convict? Is it because outrage feels empowering? Because moral judgment brings engagement? Because controversy is entertainment now? The darker reality might be this. We don't just watch scandals. We participate in building them. A short video begins circulating in private fan groups. 7 seconds. A facial expression. A half-finished sentence. An awkward pause. No context. At first, it's curiosity. Is this recent? Where was this from? Why does this feel strange? Within 20 minutes, it leaves the fan circles. Within 40 minutes, it's on trending feeds. Someone adds captions. Not direct quotes. Not confirmed statements. Interpretations. And once captions are added, the clip stops being ambiguous. It becomes directional. Viewers are no longer watching. They're being guided on how to feel. That's the moment ambiguity dies. The internet's memory activates. Archived interviews. Past event footage. Subtle interactions from years ago. Suddenly, ordinary moments are re-examined like crime scenes. A laugh becomes suspicious. A glance becomes tension. A neutral comment becomes foreshadowing. This is called retrospective framing. It's powerful. And often misleading. One hashtag turns into 3. 3 turn into 10. Some supportive. Some critical. Some accusatory. Some defensive. The digital battlefield is now fully formed. And at this stage, something dangerous happens. People stop asking what happened. They start deciding what happened. Thumbnails appear. Dark backgrounds. Red arrows. Zoomed-in facial expressions. Bold words like breaking, exposed, unexpected. The narrative shifts from speculation to drama. And drama spreads faster than restraint. Still no direct clarification. No detailed statement. No live stream. No immediate rebuttal. The internet fills the vacuum. Threads appear claiming inside sources. Long posts analyzing body language. Speculation about contracts, friendships, private tensions. None officially confirmed. All emotionally persuasive. Here's what most viewers don't consciously realize. When you see something repeatedly, your brain begins to register it as credible. It's called the familiarity effect. If you see something is wrong hundreds of times in different variations, eventually it stops feeling like a question. It starts feeling like truth. Supporters rally hard. They trend positive hashtags. They compile counter-evidence. They dissect misinformation. Critics double down. They gather screenshots. They connect timelines. They build theories. And the middle audience? They quietly watch. But their perception is shifting with every headline. Behind the scenes, something else is happening. Management teams monitor engagement spikes. PR consultants evaluate sentiment. Industry insiders observe quietly. Because whether a controversy is true or exaggerated, one thing matters in entertainment: public perception. And perception can impact future projects, collaborations, invitations, sponsorships. Even if the storm passes, a shadow sometimes lingers. While timelines debate, there's a human layer beneath it all. Public figures often describe controversy as surreal. Watching strangers narrate your story. Seeing your face used in thumbnails implying secrets. Refreshing feeds and seeing your name tied to words you never said. It's isolating. And when two names are intertwined in that narrative, the complexity doubles. At its core, the situation isn't about 7 seconds of footage. It's about how fast collective imagination can escalate. It's about how silence is interpreted. How edits guide perception. How repetition creates certainty. And once certainty sets in, it's almost impossible to rewind. In previous eras, reputations changed slowly. Now, they shift in hours. One trending clip. One wave of interpretation. One algorithmic push. And suddenly, the conversation isn't about context. It's about consequences. But cancellation doesn't usually begin with facts. It begins with momentum. Momentum is powerful because it feels organic. Thousands of comments. Hundreds of reposts. trending lists climbing by the minute. But momentum doesn't necessarily mean consensus. It means attention. And attention, when emotional, becomes contagious. The more people see outrage, the more they feel compelled to choose a side. Not choosing feels like complicity. So neutrality disappears. At this stage, every hour without clarification fuels more theories. Are they negotiating? Lawyers are involved. There's something bigger behind this. This confirms everything. But what's often overlooked is this. Public figures are rarely able to respond instantly. There are contracts, agreements, legal considerations, industry politics. Yet online culture interprets delay as confession. And that interpretation spreads faster than any official statement ever could. Imagine this scenario. Your name is trending for the wrong reason. Your inbox is flooded. Friends are asking questions. Management is strategizing. Media outlets are requesting comments. But you can't just speak freely. Because one wrong sentence could ignite an even bigger fire. So you wait. And the waiting becomes its own storm. Here's something darker. The internet doesn't just observe controversy. It amplifies it for entertainment. Reaction videos spike. Live debates grow. Think pieces multiply. Thumbnails grow more dramatic. Every new upload reframes the story slightly differently. Some present caution. Others present certainty. But certainty performs better. And performance drives the narrative. There's a subtle but critical distinction. Cancel culture implies moral judgment. Viral culture implies amplification without full evaluation. Sometimes, what we call cancellation is actually a temporary spike in outrage fueled by repetition. But the emotional toll doesn't feel temporary. Even if the story fades, search results don't. Even without verified wrongdoing, a controversy can impact a public perception, a future casting decisions, a brand partnerships, a industry trust. Because in entertainment, perception often precedes proof. Studios think in terms of risk. Brands think in terms of image. Investors think in terms of stability. And controversy, even speculative, creates uncertainty. Uncertainty makes people cautious. While criticism grows louder, something else happens quietly. Support campaigns emerge. Fans post positive compilations. Old charitable acts resurface. Interviews highlighting character reappear. The narrative begins to split. Not into truth and lie, but into doubt and defense. The situation feels darker not because of confirmed evidence, but because of ambiguity. Ambiguity makes the imagination fill gaps. And imagination often paints in extremes. What if there's more? What if this connects to something older? What if silence means confirmation? What if is the most powerful phrase online? It doesn't accuse directly. It implies. And implication spreads safely. If you've never analyzed a celebrity statement during controversy, here's what usually happens. Every word is dissected. Every comma becomes meaningful. Every omission becomes suspicious. The message was calm, measured, focused on clarification. It addressed the circulating clip. It emphasized context. It denied extreme interpretations. But here's the twist. For supporters, it was reassurance. For critics, it was damage control. The same statement. Two completely different interpretations. Within 15 minutes. Screenshots of the statement flooded timelines. Translation threads appeared. Reaction live streams began. Commentators paused mid-broadcast to read it live. The most common reactions fell into 3 categories. 1. See? We overreacted. 2. This feels carefully scripted. 3. There's still something missing. That last category is the most dangerous. Because once people feel something is missing, they start searching for what isn't there. Shortly after, a related clarification surfaced from the side connected to Yu Menglong. It didn't attack. It didn't accuse. It didn't escalate. It emphasized misunderstanding. But by now, The public wasn't just analyzing facts. They were analyzing tone. Did it sound sincere? Did it feel defensive? Why was it released at that time? Who wrote it? The focus had shifted from what happened to how it was being handled. There's a psychological effect at play here. When people invest emotionally in a narrative, clarity can feel disappointing. Drama creates adrenaline. Speculation creates intrigue. Mystery creates engagement. A calm explanation. It's less thrilling. And sometimes, audiences subconsciously resist resolution because controversy is more compelling than closure. One of the fastest trending phrases after the statements dropped was, "damage control." It's a powerful label. Because once something is categorized as damage control, sincerity is automatically questioned. But here's what most people overlook. Public figures don't release statements casually. They consult legal teams. They consult management. They consider contract implications. They weigh future career impact. Caution doesn't equal guilt. It often equals responsibility. Behind the scenes, something else shifted. Brands that had been monitoring now began recalculating. Was sentiment stabilizing? Were negative hashtags slowing? Were support campaigns rising? In entertainment, perception is data, and data determines decisions. If controversy cools, partnerships remain intact. If controversy deepens, distance grows. At this stage, the numbers mattered more than opinions. Even as clarification circulated, something lingered. A shadow. Because once doubt enters public consciousness, it rarely disappears instantly. Search suggestions remember. Comment sections remember. Future interviews may revisit it. Even if no wrongdoing is proven. Even if everything was misinterpreted. Association sticks. After the statements, the audience divided more clearly. Camp 1. It was exaggerated. Let it go. Camp 2. There's more beneath the surface. Camp 3. I'm waiting to see what happens next. Notice something. Even after clarification, certainty didn't return. Instead, uncertainty stabilized. And stabilized uncertainty can quietly affect reputation over time. The biggest shift didn't happen in the words themselves. It happened in engagement patterns. Negative hashtags slowed. Neutral discussion increased. Outrage energy dipped. But it didn't vanish. It transformed into quieter speculation. And quiet speculation can last longer than loud outrage. In entertainment, controversy isn't just emotional. It's financial. Within 72 hours of any viral situation, 3 groups start running internal evaluations. A talent agencies. A brand partners. A production teams. They're not asking, is this dramatic? They're asking, will this affect ticket sales? Will this impact streaming numbers? Will audiences react negatively to future promotions? Is there long-term reputational risk? Because in show business, perception equals investment security. There's a quiet rule in entertainment circles. Avoid unpredictability. Even if controversy fades, unpredictability makes executives nervous. A project that costs millions cannot be attached to instability. That doesn't mean guilt. It means caution. And caution can quietly reshape opportunities without public announcement. While fans debated online, private conversations likely unfolded. Should release schedules shift? Should interviews be postponed? Should promotional appearances be limited temporarily? Should social media strategy change? None of these moves confirm wrongdoing. They confirm one thing. Crisis management is strategic. Sometimes pulling back isn't admission. It's containment. Here's something rarely discussed. In controversy, it's not just the central figures who feel pressure. Collaborators feel it too. Co-stars, directors, brand ambassadors, event organizers. No one wants to be pulled into a storm unintentionally. So distance, even subtle, sometimes appears. Not dramatic public distancing. Just fewer interactions. Fewer reposts. Fewer visible connections. To fans, It feels suspicious. To industry insiders, it's risk mitigation. Public relations isn't reactive. It's predictive. PR teams analyze. A sentiment curves. A engagement shifts. A media framing tone. A influencer commentary patterns. If negativity peaks and declines, silence may continue. If negativity stabilizes at a high level, strategic appearances might be arranged. If rumors resurface, clarifications may be reinforced. It's a chessboard. Every move is calculated. Every word is weighed. Imagine being at the center of all this. You want to speak naturally. You want to correct misunderstandings instantly. You want to show frustration. But you can't. Because spontaneity can reignite flames. So you follow strategy. And strategy often feels cold, even when you're emotional. That disconnect can feel isolating. Because it highlights something uncomfortable. Fame magnifies vulnerability. A moment taken out of context becomes global discussion. A pause becomes implication. A delay becomes suspicion. And even when things stabilize, there's an invisible mark. This trended once. That phrase alone can follow someone for years. Controversy also tests loyalty. Which friends speak up? Which colleagues stay silent? Which brands remain visible? Which ones quietly step back? Fans watch this closely. And every action, or lack of action, becomes interpreted. Support becomes meaningful. Silence becomes symbolic. But silence in industry culture often means neutrality, not betrayal. Online, neutrality rarely exists. What happens to a person's mental state when they realize their name can trend globally for something ambiguous? The awareness changes how you move, how you speak, how you interact publicly. Every future appearance becomes calculated. Not because you want it to be, but because you've seen how fast things spiral. At this stage, the situation sits in a delicate calm. Public outrage has cooled. Clarifications have circulated. Industry observers are watching quietly. There are two possible outcomes from here. 1. It fades fully, becoming a brief online storm. 2. A new detail reignites everything. In digital culture, stories rarely disappear completely. They go dormant. And dormancy can be unpredictable. What this situation truly reveals isn't just about two public figures. It reveals how quickly narrative outruns context, how silence gets weaponized, how industries quietly protect investments, how audiences participate in amplification. The storm may calm, but the lesson remains. Virality doesn't wait for verification, and reputation doesn't reset instantly. Type a name into a search engine after a viral controversy. Autofill suggestions can change. Related search queries shift. Even if clarification was issued. Even if outrage cooled. Association lingers in metadata. And metadata influences perception quietly. Future fans discovering someone for the first time may stumble upon headlines before they find interviews. First impressions are powerful. Even when outdated. Sometimes there are no dramatic cancellations. No explosive announcements. No formal blacklists. Instead, something subtler happens. Or a project gets delayed. Or a collaboration doesn't materialize. Or a brand campaign goes in another direction. Or an invitation quietly disappears. Not because guilt was proven, but because caution feels safer. In entertainment, risk is calculated constantly. Even minor uncertainty can shift decisions. Here's something rarely discussed publicly. Once someone experiences a viral storm, their relationship with visibility changes. Interviews become more guarded. Social media posts become more calculated. Public interactions become more measured. Because they've seen what momentum can do. The fear isn't always about wrongdoing. It's about misinterpretation. And misinterpretation spreads faster than intention. Controversy reshapes fandoms too. Supporters often grow more protective, more defensive, more organized. Critics sometimes remain skeptical long-term. Neutral observers remember the headline, even if they forget the details. And that's important. Because people often remember emotion more clearly than facts. They may not recall what the clip showed, but they remember how it felt. Can someone fully recover from a viral controversy? The answer depends on three things. 1. Was there verified wrongdoing? 2. Was there clear clarification? 3. Did public attention move on? If no wrongdoing was proven and clarity exists, time often softens memory. But recovery isn't instant. It's gradual. Through a consistent professional work, a positive public appearances, a stability over time, an absence of repeated drama. Reputation rebuilds quietly, not dramatically. There's an irony in digital culture. It feels permanent, but it's also fleeting. A storm that felt world-ending in the moment can become a footnote months later. Another headline replaces it. Another debate trends. Another figure becomes the focus. The cycle continues. But for the people at the center of it, the experience leaves an imprint. Beyond the headlines, beyond speculation, beyond reactions. This moment exposed how fragile perception is in the digital age. It showed how quickly ambiguity becomes narrative, how silence becomes suspicion, how repetition becomes truth, how engagement can overpower nuance. And it revealed something deeper. Virality doesn't need certainty. It only needs momentum. Years from now, this situation may be remembered in one of three ways. 1. As an exaggerated online overreaction. 2. As a turning point that reshaped public image. 3. As a forgotten blip in a long career. Which outcome unfolds often depends less on the original event, and more on what happens afterward. Consistency. Professionalism. Time. Time is often the most powerful PR strategy. If there's one lesson from this entire situation, it's this. The internet is not a courtroom. It's a stage. And on that stage, emotion performs better than evidence. Certainty performs better than nuance. Drama performs better than restraint. But eventually, the spotlight moves. And when it does, what remains isn't the hashtag. It's the work. The future projects. The continued growth. The stability that follows. Because cancellation, in many cases, isn't a permanent sentence. It's a moment of cultural turbulence. And turbulence doesn't always determine destination. Career changes after controversy are rarely explosive. They're subtle. A project announcement feels quieter. Promotional appearances feel more measured. Interviews avoid certain topics. Social media captions become carefully neutral. The shift isn't dramatic. But it's there. And only those paying close attention notice it. There are two types of memory in modern culture. Public memory, emotional, short-lived, reactive. Digital memory, archived, searchable, permanent. Public memory fades fast. Digital memory doesn't. Even if most people move on, search results don't reset automatically. Future journalists may revisit it. Future commentators may reference it. Future critics may bring it up during unrelated discussions. That's the long tail of virality. Reputation today isn't just built on talent. It's built on a stability, a predictability, a emotional control, a public perception. After a viral moment, every move becomes part of a quiet rebuilding phase. Consistency becomes strategy. Calm becomes currency. Time becomes shield. The goal isn't to erase the past. It's to overshadow it with sustained professionalism. Executives, producers, and brands often operate differently from the internet. They look at patterns, not spikes. One controversy doesn't define a career. Repeated instability might. If months pass without renewed drama, confidence slowly returns. If projects perform well, narratives shift. Success is the strongest rebuttal. Not tweets. Not debates. Results. There's another side few discuss. Experiencing a viral storm changes perspective. It forces awareness of how easily words can be reframed, how quickly edits can mislead, how fragile perception can be. For some public figures, it creates anxiety. For others, it creates maturity. They learn how to navigate interviews differently, how to protect personal boundaries, how to avoid ambiguous situations. Sometimes controversy accelerates growth. Not publicly, privately. One of the most powerful legacies of a controversy is loyalty. Fans who stay after a storm often feel more connected. They feel they defended. They feel they stood firm. They feel bonded through crisis. In some cases, fandom becomes stronger after turbulence. Because shared defense builds identity. Not everyone forgets. Some skeptics hold on to doubt. Some observers keep mental footnotes. And that's part of modern fame. Total universal approval is nearly impossible. The goal isn't perfection. It's resilience. This situation wasn't just about two names trending. It was a mirror. A reflection of how a speed outpaces verification. A emotion outpaces evidence. A narrative outpaces nuance. It showed how a moment can expand into mythology within hours. And how mythology can feel real, even without confirmation. Is redemption possible in the age of screenshots? Yes. But it looks different than before. It isn't a dramatic comeback speech. It's steady output. Consistent professionalism. Absence of repeated drama. Visible growth over time. Redemption today is quiet. And quiet doesn't trend. But it works. Years from now, when people look back at this chapter involving Jiao Maiqi and Yu Menglong, it may be remembered not as scandal, but as a case study. A moment that highlighted how fragile digital narratives are. How quickly stories escalate. And how resilience is built not in trending hours, but in the calm months afterward. Fame in the digital era isn't just about talent. It's about navigating volatility. One clip can shift perception. One delay can spark suspicion. One wave of momentum can redefine conversation. But momentum isn't destiny. Time, consistency, and growth often outlast virality. And when the spotlight eventually moves elsewhere, what remains isn't the storm. It's the work.